We are now on lesson number 3. So ano ba itatakal natin for lesson number 3? So for this lesson, we are here going to tackle about trigonometric ratios on special angles. What's up, guys? Here comes another day, another lesson to tackle or to discuss. You know what, guys? In every lessons that I am discussing, to you, so I am always hoping that many of you will learn from it. Well, hindi naman ako nawawala ng pag-asa. Di ba nga, sabi nga, there's no harm in trying. Just like what I mentioned to you on the last video lesson. So, if that is my attitude, so hopefully, ganun din dapat kayo. So don't lose hope that you will learn math. So it's just a matter of mindset lang naman. Kung iniisip mo na mahirap, well, ang dating sa'yo talagang mahirap. But if you're going to think that math is easy, I guess, ang magiging dating din sa'yo is that math is easy. And as much as possible, we are making math as enjoyable as possible, di ba? So, kaya nagpapasok tayo paminsan-minsan ng mga jokes there so that ma-enjoy ninyo yung learning math. So, let's continue now our discussion for the fourth grading period. We are now on lesson number 3. So, ano ba itatakal natin for lesson number 3? So, for this lesson, we are here going to tackle about trigonometric ratios on special angles. These special angles, na-encounter na natin siya during our discussion on third grading period. So, we are just going to recall these special angles here in our discussion about trigonometric ratios, which include those what we call special angles. So, saan ba natin makukuha yung mga special angles na yon? So, most probably, makuha natin siya doon sa discuss natin about special right triangles. So, let's start it now. So, unahin natin yung recalling first our discussion about special right triangles. So, we do have their special right triangle theorems. So, meron tayong dalawang special right triangles. Yung una, yung 30 degrees, 60 degree, 90 degrees special right triangle. Na may form tayong 30, 60, 90 triangle theorem. So, paano yun? So, if there is a given 30 degree, 60 degree, 90 degree special right triangle, in order for you to find the shorter leg, the shorter leg according to this is half the hypotenuse. So, if you know the measure of the hypotenuse, so just get half of it and you'll already find out for the measure of the shorter leg. Ito yung sinasabi natin before na when we discussed this na isang given lang ng measure ng side, you can right away find out the measure of the other two sides. As long as you know that a given triangle is a special right triangle, just like 30, 60, 90 special right triangle. So, kasi yung Pythagorean theorem, so we can apply that by given two sides of the triangle for you to get the third side. So, dito, isang side lang given, you will find out easily also the other two sides of the triangle. So, once you know that it is a special right triangle. So, ang shorter leg daw is half the hypotenuse. So, that means, just like what I've mentioned to you, if you know already the measure of the hypotenuse, just get half of it. That would be the measure of the shorter leg. Then, of course, hypotenuse is twice the shorter leg. So, if you don't know yet the measure of the hypotenuse and the given is the shorter leg, all you have to do is to just multiply that shorter leg by 2 and you'll already find out the value of the hypotenuse, because according to that triangle theorem, hypotenuse daw is twice the shorter leg. So just multiply the shorter leg by 2, you'll already find out the measure of the hypotenuse. Then third, longer leg is shorter leg times square root of 3. So in order for you to find out for the longer leg now is shorter leg times square root of 3. So if you have the shorter leg, then uh, just multiply the shorter leg by square root of 3, then you'll find out the measure of the longer leg. That is in a 30, 60, 90 special right triangle. Another special right triangle is a 45, 45, 90 degree special right triangle. That's why meron tayo na form din na 45 degree, 45 degree, 90 degree triangle theorem. So in a 45, 45, 90 degree special right triangle, since the two measured angles are the same, that means here the right triangle that we are pertaining to are what we call as is what we call as um, isosceles right triangle. So an isosceles right triangle is a right triangle with two sides which are congruent in measure. So yung dalawang sides of that triangle are congruent in measure. So it's true if your angles, if your given right triangle has an angles with equal measures also, just like 45, 45, 90 degrees. So, in a 45, 45, 90 degree triangle theorem, sabi dito, each leg is the product of hypotenuse and square root of 2 over 2. So, in order for you to find out for the leg, kasi once you find out for the leg, that's also the measure of the other leg. So, isa lang yon kasi may dalawang side yung triangle dito na congruent in measure. So, sabi to, each leg is the product of the hypotenuse and square root of 2 over 2. So, in other words, the hypotenuse should be divided by 2, then multiply it by square root of 2. It's the same way that we are also finding the product of the hypotenuse and square root of 2 over 2. Then also, hypotenuse is square root of 2 times the leg. So for you to find out for the hypotenuse naman, it's the square root of 2 times the leg. So whatever the measure of the leg, just multiply it by square root of 2. Then you already have the measure of the hypotenuse once you found out that that the given right triangle is a 45, 45, 90 degrees special right triangle. So dito, in a special right triangle, even though isa lang dapat yung given natin for the side, but dapat meron tayong isa pang given measure of angle. So for you to identify na special right triangle siya. For example, sa 30, 60, 90, alam mo na right triangle siya kasi may 90 degrees doon. So hindi siya magiging 30, 60, 90 degrees if any of 30 and 60 degrees is not present in the given right triangle. Dapat nandoon yung 30 degrees or nandoon yung 60 degrees. Kahit isa man sa kanila, enough na yon para masabi natin that the given right triangle is a 30, 60, 90 special right triangle. So, ganun din in a 45, 45, 90 degrees special right triangle. So, pag dapat given yung 45 degrees na yon, so alam natin that the given right triangle is a 45, 45, 90 degrees special right triangle. So, from these special right triangles, dito natin makukuha yung tinatawag nating special angles. So, dyan natin nakuha yung special angles. So, ano ba yung mga special angles? So, tingnan natin tong triangle. So, itong given triangles natin dito ay 30, 60, 90 and 45, 45, 90 special right triangle. So, tinatawag natin siya as unit triangle. Because unit triangle, in a 30, 60 degree, 30, 60, 90 degree special right triangle, the measure of the shorter leg is 1 unit. While in a 45, 45, 90 degree special right triangle, the measure of the leg is 1 unit. So, from there, we can form yung tinatawag nating table of trigonometric ratios of special angles. So, We are here going to complete the table of trigonometric ratios. Na tinatawag natin trigonometric ratios of special angles with the help of these right triangles above. So ano yung makikita natin on the table of trigonometric ratios of special angles? Siyempre, makikita natin doon yung 6 trigonometric functions. The sine, cosine, tangent, cosecant, secant, and cotangent. So nakalagay dyan, sine theta, cosine theta, tangent theta, cosecant theta, secant theta, and cotangent theta. As we made mention already that theta is a Greek letter that we are using if we do not have the name, a specific name for that given right or given angle of a right triangle. So we are using Greek letter. So meron pa kayo theta, beta. So mga ganun ginagamit ng Greek letter. So ano yung mga special angles? So ang special angles natin yan, matatagpuan natin doon sa mismo sa special right triangle. Ano yung mga yon? Those are the 30 degrees, 45 degrees, and 60 degrees. So, to 30 degrees, 60 degrees, 45 degrees. Actually, kasali pa nga dyan yung 0 degrees and 90 degrees. Pero hindi, we will not anymore include that on the table. Kasi the usual na ginagamit na special angles are 30 degrees, 45 degrees, and 60 degrees. So with the help of these right triangles above, which are the 30, 60, 90, and the 45, 45, 90 degrees special right triangle, we are going to complete this table of trigonometric ratios of special angles. So, kung in a 30, 60, 90 special right triangle, kung 1 unit ang measure ng shorter leg, sabi nga natin kanina na twice of it is the measure of the hypotenuse. That's why ang measure ng hypotenuse dito is 2. Then, to get the measure of the longer leg, all you have to do is to multiply the shorter leg by square root of 3. So 1 square root of 3, you come up with square root of 3 as the measure of the longer leg. So take a look at that measure because these measurements are the measurements that we are going to use to complete the table of trigonometric ratios of special angles. In a 45, 45, 90 special right triangle, if the measure of the leg is 1 unit, of course, the measure of the other leg is also 1 unit. And for you to find out for the measure of the hypotenuse, so hypotenuse ay longer leg times square root of 2 lang yun. So that's 1 times square root of 2, you come up with square root of 2 as the measure of its hypotenuse. So now let's start completing the table of trigonometric ratios of special angles. Unahin natin yung 30 degrees. Kapag sine 30 degrees, so since given a measure ng angle, we are going to replace this theta here with the measure of the angle. So sine 30 degrees. So you are going to look at this angle. Nandito yung 30 degrees. So sine 30 degrees, ano ba yung trigonometric ratio ng sine? Diba ang sine is opposite over hypotenuse. Opposite over hypotenuse. With regards to this 30-degree angle, what is the value of its opposite side? That is 1, and the value of the hypotenuse is 2. So that will come up with the value of sine 30 degrees as 1 half. Yan na, that's sine 30 degrees. Ito yun. Sine 30 degrees is opposite over hypotenuse. Just recall the trigonometric ratios yung pinag-aralan natin the last time. Next, how about cosine 30 degrees? Again, instead of theta ang gagamitin natin since we have the exact measure of the angle. So, we'll put that. So, kapag cosine 30 degrees, so cosine naman, nakapokus pa rin sa 30 degrees. Ano ba ang cosine? Ano ba ang ratio ng cosine? That is adjacent over hypotenuse. So what is the measure of the adjacent side? That would be square root of 3, while the hypotenuse measures 2. So that's why if we are going to form the ratio of cosine 30 degrees, we'll come up with the ratio as square root of 3 over 2. Nakakasunod tayo so far? Next, let's find out tangent 30 degrees. tangent 30 degrees, ang ratio niya ay opposite over adjacent. Opposite over adjacent. So, tangent 30 degrees. So, 30 degrees pa tayo nakafocus. Tangent 30 degrees, that is opposite over adjacent. So, ang magiging kalalabasan will be 1 over square root of 3. But it's not yet simplified because there is a radical sign in the denominator of the fraction. Remember yung how we simplify radicals, di ba? So kapag may nakita tayong radical on the denominator part, that means the given radicals is not yet in simplified form unless we remove that by the process of rationalization. So we can remove square root of 3 on the denominator part by multiplying both numerator and denominator by square root of 3. Kapag square root of 3 times square root of 3 na, magiging square root of 9. And what would be the square root of 9? That would be 3. Then on the numerator part, 1 times square root of 3 will come up with square root of 3. So magiging sagot na ngayon ay ang tangent 30 degrees ay square root of 3 over 3 instead of 1 over square root of 3. Again kasi meron tayong radicals on the denominator part. So if that is the case, it's not yet simplified unless we remove that radical sign by the process of rationalization. Then, cosecant, secant, and cotangent. So once you know the first three trigonometric ratios, you can already find out now that last three trigonometric ratios. Paano? Diba when we discuss 6 trigonometric ratios, yung huling tatlong trigonometric ratios, yun ay yung opposite of the first three trigonometric ratios. Diba? Ang sign, ang co-opposite niya ay cosecant. So, ang sign co-opposite ay cosecant. So, ibig sabihin, di ba, ang sign ay opposite over hypotenuse. So, ang cosecant ay hypotenuse over opposite. So, ito lang yon. So, just simply interchange the position of the numerator and denominator. So, magiging 2 over 1 when simplified is equal to 2. So, that cosecant 30 degrees is equal to 2. So, how about secant 30 degrees? Secant is the opposite of cosine. So, just interchange the position of this numerator and denominator here. You'll come up with 2 over square root of 3. But again, yung denominator niya is involved, yung denominator now will involve radicals. So, it's not yet in simplified form. So, that's why we still have to do rationalization by multiplying the denominator part and both numerator and denominator rather by square root of 3. So, magiging denominator niya ngayon ay 3 because square root of 3 times square root of 3 is square root of 9 and square root of 9 is 3. Then, on the numerator part, that would be 2 times square root of 3. That would be 2 square root of 3. So, magiging secant 30 degrees is equivalent to 2 square root of 3 over 3. How about the cotangent? So, cotangent 30 degrees. Yung cotangent 30 degrees, di ba? Sinimplify natin to eh. Pero yung original niya comes from opposite over adjacent. Opposite 1 over square root of 3, di ba? 1 over square root of 3. Eh, ang cotangent is the opposite of tangent. Kung 1 square root of 3 ang tangent, so get its opposite, so interchange the position, we'll come up with square root of 3 over 1 or simply square root of 3. So, nakuha na natin yung trigonometric ratios of special angle na 30 degrees. So, kompleto na natin yon with the help of this right triangle here na 30, 60, 90 special right triangle. Then, now, let's proceed to 45 degrees. Ang 45 degrees, nandito sa kabila. Kahit ano dyan gamitin natin, pwede naman yun. So, pwede naman kahit ano sa dalawa yung gamitin natin. So, 45 degrees, sine 45 degrees, what would be its value? Again, sine is opposite over hypotenuse, di ba? Kung 45 degrees, opposite, that's 1 over hypotenuse, that's square root of 2. Magiging 1 over square root of 2. So, hindi pwede because may radical tayo on the denominator of the fraction. So, we still have to multiply both numerator and denominator by square root of 2. So, sa numerator, 1 times square root of 2 is square root of 2. On the denominator part, square root of 2 times square root of 2 is square root of 4. And 4 now is a perfect square. So, square root of 4 is 2. So, that will come up with sine 45 degrees, which is equal to square root of 2 over 2. Sunod, how about cosine 45 degrees? Cosine 45 degrees is cosine adjacent over hypotenuse. Adjacent side is 1 over hypotenuse. That's the same as 1 over square root of 2. Parang yung sign lang din. So kung pares silang ganun, so ibig sabihin, pares sila ng value. That's also the same as square root of 2 over 2. Next, how about tangent? Tangent is opposite over adjacent. So we are looking for tangent 45 degrees. Opposite over adjacent, that would be 1 over 1, which is equal to 1. So nakasunod? Again, cosecant, secant, and cotangent are just the opposites of the first three na sine, cosine, and tangent. Di ba ang original na nakuha natin na sine 45 degrees, kung ulitin natin, that's 1 opposite over hypotenuse, 1 over square root of 2. Eh, ang cosecant is the opposite of sine. Kung 1 square root of 2 yun, so baliktarin mo, you'll come up with square root of 2 over 1 or simply square root of 2. So, ganun din yung secant 45 degrees kasi secant 45 degrees is the opposite of cosine. Or secant is the opposite of cosine. So, same sila. So, ibig sabihin, kung square root of 2 over 2 rin yung cosine, so ang secant ay kung ang cosecant ay square root of 2, so ang secant ay also square root of 2. Well, on cotangent, adjacent over hypotenuse. So kahit balik-balik pa rin mo pa rin to, it will still be equal to 1. So ayan naman yung mga values ng trigonometric, 6 trigonometric ratios sa special angle na 45 degrees. Any questions so far? If none, let's continue. So let's proceed naman to the trigonometric ratios on a special angle na 60 degrees. So balik naman tayo ulit dito sa right triangle na nasa left side. So ito ngayon 60 degrees. Dito tayo nakafocus ngayon. So we are looking for sine 60 degrees. So ang sine 60 degrees ay opposite, or sine is opposite over hypotenuse. That is opposite over hypotenuse. So we'll come up with square root of 3 is the opposite over the hypotenuse, which is 2. So we'll come up with square root of 3 over 2 as the value of sine 60 degrees. Next, cosine 60 degrees. Ito yung cosine. Ito yung 60 degrees. Cosine is adjacent over hypotenuse. Adjacent over hypotenuse, that would be 1 over 2. So that's why cosine 60 degrees is equal to 1/2. Nakasunod? How about tangent 60 degrees? Ito yung 60 degrees tangent. Opposite over adjacent. That's opposite over adjacent. Square root of 3 over 1. Kaya meron tayong square root of 3 over 1 or the same as square root of 3 when we simplify. Again, itong tatlong to is para makuha mo yung tatlong to, yung opposite lang ng tatlong una. Cosecant again is the opposite of sine. So, pag binaliktad natin yung square root of 3 over 2, that will be the same as 2 square root of 3. Pero 2 square root of 3, di ba ano siya? Hindi pwede because may radical tayo na denominator part. So that's why we still have to multiply it by square root of 3 on both numerator and denominator. So that's what magiging 2 times square root of 3 is 2 square root of 3 over square root of 3 over square root of 3 is square root of 9. Simplifying it, we do have 3 as the square root of 9. So that's why we come up with 2 square root of 3 over 3. So how about secant 60 degrees? So secant 60 degrees is the opposite of cosine. So, ang cosine 60 degrees ay 1 half. To get its opposite, pagbalik tayo ng position numerator and denominator, magiging 2 over 1. When simplified, that would be equal to 2. And last, so we are looking for cotangent 60 degrees. Cotangent 60 degrees is the opposite of tangent. So, ang tangent 60 degrees ay square root of 3. It's just like square root of 3 over 1 yun. Di ba? So, kasi ito yun eh. Galing yan dito, square root of opposite over adjacent eh. Magiging 1 over square root of 3. Eh, hindi pwede 1 over square root of 3. So, we still have to multiply both numerator and denominator by square root of 3. So, magkakaroon tayo ng value ng 1 times square root of 3 is equal to square root of 3 over square root of 3 over square root of 3, square root of 9 when simplified is equal to 3. So, we'll come up with square root of 3 over 3. So, that completes the table of trigonometric ratios of special angles. So, anong gamit nung table of special angles na to? Once you encounter this measure of angles na the special angles na 30 degrees, 45 degrees, and 60 degrees, you don't have to anymore use calculator. Ibig sabihin, you just have to look on the table of trigonometric ratios of special angles na kapag nakita nyo siyang kasama ng 6 trigonometric ratios, so you know already the value of it. So kahit even if you made use of calculator, you'll come up with the same value. Nang pag-write mo sa calculator, sine 30 degrees, maaaring naman ba is 0.5. Ano ba yung 0.5? That is 1 half, diba? Pag tinay po cosecant 30 degrees, that would be the same as 2. So, ibig sabihin, once nakita nyo again these 3 trigonometric ratios na kasama ng any of these 6 trigonometric functions, so that means you just have to look for the table of trigonometric ratios of special angles, and you know already the value of this trigonometric function. Now, with the measurement of the angle, which is what we call as the special angles. So, paano natin ginagamit yon? So, let's apply that through example. So, para sa maintindihan natin. So, examples here, to determine the exact value of the following. So, unahin natin. Number 1, sine 30 degrees plus cosine 45 degrees. Ito yung sinasabi natin. Yung trigonometric function na yan, kasama nila yung special angles. So, kasama yung special angles yung sine, kasama yung special angle na 30 degrees, while cosine, kasama yung special angle na 45 degrees. So, sine 30 degrees plus cosine 45 degrees. So, paano mo isi-simplify? So, you have to look first for the value of this value of each given on the table of trigonometric ratios of special angles. Ano ba yung value ng sine 30 degrees there? So, ang value ng sine 30 degrees there is 1 half. Doon sa table, kung titignan mo yung table, tapat kami 30 degrees tapos yung sine. Yung katapat niya, yun yung value ng sine 30 degrees. That is equivalent to 1 half. How about cosine 45 degrees? So, looking at the table, punta ka doon sa cosine, tapos itapat mo sa 45 degrees. So, yun yung value ng cosine 45 degrees, and that would be equal to square root of 2 over 2. So, what you're going to do here is to add the 2. You know already its value. That's 1 half plus square root of 2 over 2. They are similar fractions. But looking at its numerator, they are dissimilar terms. It's just like x and y, di ba? Kapag may x and y, you are adding x and y. So still, you come up with an answer. Yun nga lang, still separated by an operation. So, ganun din yung mangyayari dito. So, 1 plus square root of 2 will come up with 1 plus square root of 2 all over the same denominator na 2. So, that's why the final answer will be 1 plus square root of 2 all over 2. Because we cannot anymore combine 1 and square root of 2 because they are two different terms. Kasi yung 2 there, still inside the radical sign. So, nakuha yung first example. So, that's how we made use of the of table of trigonometric ratios on special angles. So, just like what I've mentioned to you earlier, pag nakita nyo yung special angles na yon together with the trigonometric functions, just look at the table of values, then substitute it for you to find out what we are looking for in the problem or in a given examples about it. So let's have another example. Let's have number 2. Secant 30 degrees plus cotangent 60 degrees. Ano ba yung secant 30 degrees? So, looking at it on the table, punta ka sa secant, tapos hanapin mo 30 degrees, yung katapat niyang value, ayun yung value ng secant 30 degrees, and that will be equal to 2 square root of 3 over 3. Plus cotangent 60 degrees. Para naman cotangent 60 degrees, punta ka sa table, tingnan mo yung cotangent, tapos tingnan mo yung 60 degrees. Yung magkatapat na yun yung value ng cotangent 60 degrees, and that would be equal to square root of 3 over 3. So same way with the first example, they do have the same denominator. So they are similar fractions. So what we are going to do is to add them. So, as sabi nga natin, di ba, it's just like x and y kapag may yung constant and a variable. Parang ito, constant and a variable, ay constant and a radical. So, ibig sabihin, ang numerical coefficient ito ay 2. On the others, on the value of cotangent 60 degrees, square root of 3 here, ang numerical coefficient ay 1. So, pag inad mo yan, 2 plus 1 will come up with 3, then copy the common term. Diba, when we add expressions with the same term, so we are just going to add first the numerator, then copy the common term. So that's what we are going to do. So that would be 3 square root of 3 over copy the common denominator 3. So we'll come up with 3 square root of 3 over 3. But it's not yet simplified because as you can see, you can eliminate or you can cancel out 3 here. So that ang matitira na lang ay square root of 3. So secant 30 degrees plus cotangent 60 degrees, that is equivalent to square root of 3. So nasundan yon. So another example. Let's have example number 3. Cosecant 30 degrees plus secant 60 degrees minus tangent 45 degrees. So, hanapin yung value ng cosecant 30 degrees on the table. Hanapin yung cosecant, katapat ng 30 degrees. So, that would be equal to 2. How about secant 60 degrees? Hanapin yung secant. Then, hanapin yung 60 degrees. Pagtapatin, ang value ng secant 60 degrees ay also 2. What about the value of tangent 45 degrees? So, going back to the table, hanapin tangent, then to 45 degrees, pagtapatin, you'll come up with the value of tangent 45 degrees as 1. So, you'll have 2 plus 2, that would be 4, minus 1 is equal to 3. So, cosecant 30 degrees plus secant 60 degrees minus tangent 45 degrees is equal to 3. So, hindi mo agad siya malalaman if you will not make use of the table of trigonometric ratios of special angles. So, you will say ba right away na ang value niya ay 3? Diba hindi? So, once you apply the table of trigonometric ratios on special angles and you come up with the right value for the given, so you'll end up with the right answer also. So, nakuha yon. That's how we answer example number 3. So, may question so far? So, let's answer more examples. So, let's have example number 4. Number 4, that's tangent 30 degrees plus cosecant 60 degrees plus cotangent 30 degrees. So, yung makikita yung measure ng angle, still mga special angles na kasama ng mga trigonometric function. So, pwede mo magamit yung table of special angles, table of trigonometric ratios on special angles rather. So, hanapin yung value ng tangent 30 degrees. Ang value niya, when you look at the table, is equal to square root of 3 over 2. How about the value of cosecant 60 degrees? So, looking at the table, the value of cosecant 60 degrees is equivalent to 2 square root of 3 over 3. While the value of cotangent 30 degrees, looking at again the table, we come up with the value as square root of 3. So, you are going to add the 3. So, unahin mo i-add muna yung first 2. So, meron tayong ganito kanina, di ba? So, ang numerical coefficient to ay 1. 1 plus 2, you come up with 3. Copy the common term, square root of 3, over common denominator, that is 3. Meron kang 3, square root of 3 over 3. Cancel the 3. Ang matitira ay square root of 3. So, square root of 3, kung ang sagot ito ay square root of 3 plus square root of 3, you'll come up with the value of 2 square root of 3. So, dalawang square root of 3. So, isang square root of 3 plus isang square root of 3 will come up with the value as 2 square root of 3. Nakuha natin yung value na yon nung nung binigay natin yung tamang value of the given with the help of the table of trigonometric ratios of special angles. So that's how we solve example number 4. Did you get that? Next, let's have example number 5. Secant 30 degrees times cosine 30 degrees minus tangent 60 degrees times cotangent 60 degrees. So, you just have to find out the value of this given on the table of trigonometric ratios. Unahin natin secant 30 degrees. Ano ba value ng secant 30 degrees? That will be 2 square root of 3 over 3 when you look at the table of trigonometric ratios. While cosine 30 degrees, ang value niya ay square root of 3 over 2. Bigyan lang muna natin yung mga value ha. Value ng tangent 60 degrees, that is equivalent to square root of 3. While cotangent 60 degrees, that will be square root of 3 over 3. Again ha, ito mga to, nakuha natin yan doon sa table of trigonometric ratio. So, mas maganda kung meron kayong copy nun. So, sana kanina na-screenshot nyo yung buong table of trigonometric ratios nung nakuha natin or na-complete natin yung table kanina. Anyway, pwede naman siyang balikan eh. Pwede naman ulit yun, ma-screenshot para meron kayong copy so that when you are going to encounter problems like this, so you know already on what you're going to do because you already have the table of trigonometric ratios on special angles. So, the operation here is multiplication. So, sa magkabila, ang operation ay multiplication. So, pag multiply natin, 2 times 1, that would be 2. Square root of 3 times square root of 3. Ang sagot doon ay square root of 9. Tama, di ba? Ang square root of 9 ay 3. So, 3 times 2, you'll come up with 6 sa numerator. Over 3 times 2, you'll also have 6. So, that's why magkakaroon ka dyan ng 6 over 6 na product. While on the sa kabilang side naman, product niyan, tangent 60 degrees times cotangent 60 degrees. So, multiply mo, square root of 3 over 1 to eh. Square root of 3 times square root of 3, you'll come up with square root of 9. Ano ba ang square root ng 3? Square root ng 9 rather. That is 3 over 1 times 3 is 3. So, magkakaroon tayo ng product there na 3 over 3. 6 over 6, when simplified, that would be equal to 1, right? While 3 over 3, when simplified, that's also equal to 1. Subtract it. So, what would be 1 minus 1? So, 1 minus 1 is equal to 0. O, di ba, akalain ba natin kaagad that the answer in the end is 0? Unless we can find out that unless we find the right value for these functions on the trigonometric on the table of trigonometric ratios of special angles. So, dapat tama yung makuha natin so that we come up with the right answer in the end. So, that's how we answer example number 5. So, I hope na nakasunod doon. So kung hindi pa rin, let's have example number 6 here. Example number 6, sine 30 degrees plus cosine 60 degrees plus cotangent 45 degrees. So alamin yung mga value of it on the table of trigonometric ratios of special angles or special angles rather. So ang value ng sine 30 degrees ay 1/2. The value of cosine 60 degrees is also 1/2. And the value of cotangent 45 degrees is equal to 1. Then simplify it, lahat yan add. 1/2 plus 1/2, that would be 1 whole. That's 1, di ba? Dalawang kalahati, that will be equivalent to 1. Plus 1, so it will be equal to 2. So sine 30 degrees plus cosine 60 degrees plus cotangent 45 degrees, that is equivalent to 2. Did you get that? So let's have this last example for that. So we do have here cosecant 30 degrees plus secant 60 degrees times tangent 45 degrees plus cotangent 45 degrees. So ano ba yung mga value na yan? Alamin muna natin yung mga value ng bawat given na yan using the table of trigonometric ratios on special angles. So what would be cosecant 30 degrees? Ang value ng cosecant 30 degrees ay 2. Then the value of secant 60 degrees is also 2. Then looking at the table, next, the value of tangent 45 degrees is 1. Where the value of cotangent 45 degrees is also 1. So plus yan, nasa loob ng parenthesis, plus. So 2 plus 2 will come up there with 4. Then 1 plus 1 here will come up with 2. So nakuha na natin yung value ng dalawang yon. That's 4 and 2. And we are multiplying them. So what would be 4 times 2? So 4 times 2 is equal to 8. So that's how we answer example number 7. So imagine kung gaano ka-helpful yung table of trigonometric ratios na yon in order for you to answer problems which involves trigonometric function together with those special angles. Kasi once na-encounter nyo yung mga special angles na yun together with the trigonometric function, you know already the value of it because you can make use of the table of trigonometric ratios on special angles. So any questions there? So hopefully yung 7 examples na binigay natin ay naintindihan nyo kung paano ginagamit yung table of trigonometric ratios on special angles. So now let's proceed to more examples. So letter B naman tayo. Find the value of the variables. Ito ay with the application of special right triangles. Yung nirecall natin kaninang special right triangle theorem. So yung 30, 60, 90, and 45, 45, 90 degrees special right triangle. So unahin natin. So ang given dito ay 30, 60, 90 special right triangle. So measure of this hypotenuse is 12. Then this is A, the shorter leg, and B as the longer leg. What we are looking for here is the value of A and B. Alam natin na 30, 60, 90 siya because aside from this 90 degrees, given din yung isa pang angle na 60 degrees. So you know that it's a special right triangle. So kahit isa lang given ang measure ng side, makukuha mo na yung measure of the other two sides. So since given yung hypotenuse, so for you to find out for the shorter leg, which is the value of A, so sabi doon, kanina, if you are going to recall, so yung shorter leg daw is half the hypotenuse. Kalahati ng hypotenuse. So if you're going to find out for A, what is half of the hypotenuse? That would be 12 divided by 2 lang yun. So half of the hypotenuse so is 6. So that the value of A is 6. Nakuha yun. How about the value of B? Ang value ng B daw, since B is the longer leg, so para makuha mo daw yung longer leg, that is shorter leg multiplied by square root of 3. Shorter leg multiplied by square root of 3. Ano ba measure ng shorter leg? That's A. That is 6. So 6 times square root of 3 lang. So you'll come up with the value of B as 6 square root of 3. So that's how we find for the value of A and B in a 30, 60, 90 special right triangle with a given measurement for the value of the hypotenuse. That is 12. Okay? Next, find the value of the variables again. So this time, same given right triangle. So alam natin that the right triangle is also a 30, 60, 90 special right triangle. Even though wala yung 60, ando doon naman yung 30 degrees. So that makes you think that the given right triangle is a 30, 60, 90 degrees special right triangle. So ang given natin to measure ng shorter leg rather, which is 10. So what we are looking for is the value of B and C. So let's find out first for the value of B, yung longer leg. Paano ulit makuha yung longer leg? That is shorter leg times square root of 3. Ano bang shorter leg? That is 10 times square root of 3. That would be equal to 10 square root of 3. Kasunod, how about the hypotenuse? Given the shorter leg, what would be the measure of the hypotenuse? Ang hypotenuse daw is twice the shorter leg. Twice the shorter leg. So, dalawang shorter leg, you come up with the measure of the hypotenuse. That would be 2 times 10, which is equal to 20. So, that's why the value of C is equal to 20. So, nakuha yun. Any questions so far? Next. Third. Same pa rin tayo, 30, 60, 90 special right triangle. This time naman, ang given ay measure of the longer leg. Ang measure daw ng longer leg ay 15 square root of 3. 15 square root of 3. What we are looking for is the measure of the shorter leg and the measure of the hypotenuse. So, paano kunin yung measure ng B and C? Unahin natin yung B, yung shorter leg. So, paano kinukuha yung shorter leg given yung longer leg? So, it's just like, you can get that by simply dividing the longer leg by 3, then multiply it by square root of 3. So, pag dinivide yung by 3 yan, magiging 5. 5 square root of 3 times square root of 3. That's square root of 9. Square root of 9 is 3. So, 5 times 3, that would be 15. So, sa madaling salita, pwede natin yung shortcut na i-divide lang natin yung longer leg by square root of 3. So, pag divide natin yung by square root of 3, makakancel square root of 3, ang magiging value ng B ay 15. So, yun ang magiging value ng B. While, the value of C, since you already know the value of the shorter leg, the value of C or the hypotenuse is just twice the shorter leg. Kung 15 ang value ng B, the value of C is times 2 of it. So that would be C is equal to 30. So that's how we answer the measure of the sides when the given right triangle is a 30, 60, 90 degree special right triangle. Next. This time, the given is a 45, 45, 90 degrees special right triangle. So what we are going to do is to find for the measure again of the sides. So this side measures 3. Kung 45, 45, 90 degrees special right triangle siya, ibig sabihin, meron siyang dalawang sides which are congruent in measure. Kasi ang mapuform nga natin doon, sinabi natin kanina, di ba, is an isosceles right triangle. So, ang measure of this side is 3. What would be the measure of this side? That is also 3. So, that's why the measure of B is 3. How about the measure of C, which is the hypotenuse? So, for you to find the hypotenuse in a 45, 45, 90 degrees special right triangle, it's just leg multiplied by square root of 2. Again, leg multiplied by square root of 2. So, ang leg measure ng leg mo ay 3 times square root of 2, you come up with the measure as 3 square root of 2. So, that's how we find it, the value of B and C when the given is a 45, 45, 90 degrees special right triangle. Another example. Another 45, 45, 90 degrees special right triangles. This time, ang given natin is the hypotenuse. that measures 32. So what you are looking for is the measure of A and B. So paano ba kinukuha yung measure of the leg when the given is the hypotenuse? So it's just divide by 2, hypotenuse divide by 2, multiplied by square root of 2. So divide mo muna by 2 hypotenuse, that would be 32 divided by 2 is 16 times square root of 2. So that should be 16 square root of 2. So for you to find for A, you come up with the value of A, which is 16 square root of 2. How about the value of B? So what would be the value of B? So the value of B, since 45, 45, 90 degrees special right triangle yan, so yung leg niya ay congruent in measure. Because ang magpo-form nga natin is an isosceles right triangle. So ang measure ng A ay 16 square root of 2, the measure of B is also 16 square root of 2. So that's how we answer or find the measure of the sides of that right triangle na ang given ay 45, 45, 90 degree special right triangle. Any questions? So hopefully na-recall nyo rin kung paano kinukuha yung measure ng sides ng mga special right triangles natin na pinag-aralan na 30, 60, 90 degree and 45, 45, 90 degrees special right triangles. So kung wala kayong tanong, that would be all for today. Kung nagustuhan nyo yung video na to, so just hit like, share this video, and also subscribe IGOP Lord official channel. So importante is for you to subscribe the IGOP Lord official channel, and also don't forget to comment down below if you do have anything to say. So hanggang sa muli, goodbye!